Okay, now that we've got the neckline done, we're going to actually put the sleeves on and the gores, and we're going to do that before we close it. So you're going to take your sleeve, and you can see this side that has the curve that's long is obviously the long part of the sleeve. This shorter straight part is the part that goes towards the body. What you want to do is you're going to take your sleeve and you're going to fold it in half like that. And because it's linen and linen loves to be wrinkled, you're going to actually just press it a little bit with your hand. And what that's going to do for you is make a crease. Hopefully you can see that crease here. And that crease is just a point where you're going to mark it and to help you line it up. The crease gets lined up exactly with this shoulder seam right there. So you're going to put these two, again, now you really have to think about this, the right sides together. You're going to start pinning from that creased section right there to pin your sleeve all the way down, both sides, so that you can then stabilize it and sew it. So I've got it totally pinned. What's also important to note is how I've lined this up. You'll notice that my sleeve, or hopefully you can see this, if I come back a little bit, the sleeve actually lays down across the body. That's how you make sure that your seam that we're going to create right now is actually on the inside, so it should be on the side with your facing. I'm going to sew this so that, again, my seam line is 1/2 inch in, and I'm going to do that on this side, and then I'm going to put my second sleeve on as well. Okay, I've sewn each of the sleeves on, and I have then gone over, because that's what we do every single time, is press that seam open. And this is also a really good time to show you why it's so important to press as you sew. Because we've pressed this, just the shoulder seam right here, and here is the sleeve seam, it actually is holding down or holding open this shoulder seam, so that when we sew it when we wash it in the future, that seam will stay open and it'll actually continue to hold your seam looking neat and clean in your garment, even after having washed it multiple times. And if you go to the other side here, again, you can kind of see how that looks so neat and so clean right now, which is what you want. The next step that we're going to do is actually put on our gores, so that when we go to sew down the sides, they will already be attached, and it's easier to put the gores on when everything is flat. So I'm actually going to just choose, I've actually chosen the front. This doesn't really matter. You can sew these together on the front, or you can sew them together on the back, as long as you do both on the same piece or the same side. It doesn't matter. You also need to remember to pay attention to where your you want your seams to be on the inside. So if you look at this, I've actually laid this out. Here is, the inside of my garment. I've gone ahead and laid it out on my table here. You can do this on the floor, wherever it works. And now I'm going to take this and I'm going to pin it. But I'm actually, in this case, because I've laid it this way, I'm going to actually pin it so that this is up. But you can also do it the other way, where if I laid this down with the outside, again, here's our beautiful, well-pressed neckline up here. So I'm laying it down and looking at it on the outside. It's just, again, a matter of thinking about where you're going. And in this case, I'm going to pin it the same way I pinned those sleeves, so that the triangle actually is kind of across the body of fabric. I don't know if you can see that or not, but you can see here's my edge of my rectangle. This piece here is my gore. It's laying across. And I'm going to start pinning from the bottom and heading up. Again, just the same as I would pin every other piece. Okay, I've pinned them and I have sewn them, and of course I have pressed open that seam. So what you now have, I'm going to try and step back here far enough that you can see, you have that's the front panel, and on each side of the front panel you have the triangles sewn. So on each side of the garment.